Tonight, while you sleep, the ancient Egyptians will have said that you cross into the Duat, the underworld, where the gods can speak to you. For them, this was not a metaphor. It was a fact, technical, documented, and practiced for more than 1,000 years. For ancient Egypt, the night was a liminal landscape, a threshold where the veil between the mundane and the divine became permeable. That permeability was not left to chance. It was managed. Incubation was the act of sleeping deliberately within a sacred enclosure to induce divine revelation. It was not passive superstition. It was a protocolar communication technique with the numinous, with that which transcends the human. A practice that, across Egyptian history, traced a fascinating arc, from the exclusive privilege of the pharaoh to a tool available to the ordinary citizen. In the earliest periods, the prophetic dream was a space reserved for the validation of the royal power. The most illustrative example is the dream of Merneptah, in which the god Ptah appeared before the monarch to hand him a sword and guarantee his victory over the Libyans. A direct message, without ambiguity, requiring no interpretation. The pharaoh was a privileged interlocutor of the gods, but that paradigm fractured. If you stay until the end, we've put together a quiz to find out what kind of dreamer you would have been in ancient Egypt. During the 19th and 20th dynasties, the Ramessic period, Egypt underwent a fundamental theological transformation. Direct communication with the gods through dreams ceased to be the monopoly of the elites and descended to the common man. This radical shift in religious practice has been named personal piety by specialists, and it left remarkably eloquent testimony. The stele of craftsman Sipui shows an ordinary man revitalized by nocturnal visions of the god Hathor. Yehudiemhab, buried in the Theban tomb 194, left a record of how the goddess spoke to him with her own mouth in the silence of the night to dictate precise instructions. This shift reconfigured the religious hierarchy. The citizen no longer depended exclusively on the state to access the sacred. His relationship with his personal god, the Yeref, became an intimate and transformative experience. Elite artisan settlements such as the el-Medina became genuine laboratories of everyday spirituality, where the domestic bed was as sacred as a temple altar. Best headrest, carved in limestone, showed the dwarf god shaking serpents to drive away nocturnal demons, transforming the object of rest into an active sentinel. Four clay cover figurines with fire in the mouth were placed in the corners of the room, representing the power of the Eye of Ra and creating a sacred perimeter that incinerated the enemies of light. Toward the end of the New Kingdom, small papyrus scrolls appeared, oracular decrees used as amulets, carried on the person, in which the gods formally promised to turn all of the purest dreams into good ones. And upon waking from a nightmare, the sleeper had to recite incantations of Isis to expel the evil things created by Seth. The Egyptian bedroom was, in essence, a protected ritual space. The systematization of oniric knowledge reached its technical zenith in the archive of Khencherkochev, the influential head scribe of the el-Medina. His personal library housed the papyrus we know today as Chester BT3, one of the only dream interpretation manuals from pre-Hellenic history to have survived. Its structure is rigorous. Each entry begins with the formula if a man sees himself in a dream, followed by the vision and the final outcome. The manual catalogs 227 omens ranging from everyday acts to complex metaphysical visions. Favorable omens are recorded in black ink, ominous ones in red, not a purely aesthetic preference. Red was the color of Seth, the god of chaos, and functions here as an immediately visible psychological warning signal. When the manuals were not enough, they were experts. The archive also mentioned King Khenchobchev the Younger and his rituals in sacred caves of Hathor, interpreted as evidence that the dream was a science requiring a specialist when the mystery of the night overflowed any catalogue. The Egyptian landscape was dotted with nodes of power where topography became therapeutic mediation. Places where divinity filled the gaps that traditional medicine could not, each with its own specialty. Meretseger, she who loved silence, was the main oniric deity of the Theban necropolis. Her domain was the ailments the body could not explain: fever, blindness, nightmares. It was to her that the wife of Khaemsawet, son of Rameses II, addressed a famous plea for her infertility. Hathor presided over dreams of vitality and vision. Thoth contributed the wisdom of the record. Bes and Isis completed the oniric pantheon as guardian and healer respectively. Each god had a precise function within the dream. At el-Medina, the statue of the deified queen Ahmose Nefertari functioned as an active oracle. In some cases, women travel long distances because of a dream, seeking the goddess' validation of whether the vision was a legitimate omen. On a larger scale, the Oracle of Siwa had an architecture of sacred corridors for sacerdotal prophecy, while the centers of Abydos, Edfu, Philae, and Der el-Bahari demanded a strict purification and fast before the pilgrim could access the sacred precinct in search of divine message. But the dream was not only a space of revelation. It was also a territory of ambush. Upon crossing into the Duat, the barriers between the living and the dead dissolved, permitting the attack of entities sent by Seth or the terrors of the night. The dead and adversaries mentioned in the Ostracon known as Cardiner 363. The vulnerability of the sleeper was real, and it required real defenses. To navigate the darkness, Heka magic was deployed through a sophisticated protective arsenal. Under Greek and Roman rule, incubation underwent its more radical transformation. No longer spontaneous experience or a practice of personal piety, it became an organized therapeutic and political industry. The insecurity produced by centuries of invasions and foreign governments had driven the population toward the temples in search of certainties the physical world no longer offered. The clergy knew how to exploit that need. Dendera was consecrated as a hub on the Hathor. At Saqqara, the cult of Imhotep, assimilated to the Greek god Asclepius, drew crowds seeking miraculous healing. The Serapeum of Memphis saw the professionalization of oniromancy. Foreign specialists, among them Cretan interpreters, established themselves in the temples to decipher the dreams of pilgrims. But to sacralize dreams, their very nature had to be changed. Divine messages ceased to be direct and became enigmatic and symbolic, making the mediation of the clergy indispensable. The citizen, who had once received precise instruction from his personal god, now needed an interpreter. The priests used that dependency to legitimize Ptolemaic rule and consolidate their own social and economic power. The temple became the last refuge of certainty, with the clergy exercising exclusive wardenship over it. The spiritual democratization of the Ramesside period had gone into reverse. The dream had become, in a different way, a monopoly once more. The legacy of Egyptian incubation is the chronicle of a relentless search for personal transcendence and integral healing. The concept of Ket, awakening within the dream, encapsulates the ideal of the initiate, to achieve divine clarity in the midst of the darkness of the unconscious, to receive the message of the personal God without intermediaries, without priest, without institution. A humble ostracon from their el-Medina preserves a question that someone wrote more than 3,000 years ago and which resonates with a surprisingly contemporary force. As for the dreams, one shall say, will they be good? The same anxiety, the same hope, the same unfathomable mystery of the night, then and now. Before you go, we've put together a test to find out what kind of dreamer you have been in ancient Egypt. You wake up after a strange dream. What do you say? A. I had a dream. B. I saw an awakening. C. I traveled to the afterlife. You dream that you eat donkey meat. What does it mean? A. Hard work. B. Future success. C. A bad omen. A nightmare terrifies you. What do you do? A. I invoke Isis. B. I reinforce the protections around my bed. C. I ask the dead for help. You have a problem that needs urgent answers. What do you choose? A. I take my divine amulet. B. I go to sleep in the sanctuary. C. I write a letter to a deceased relative. If you answer mostly A, you are the defensive mage. For you, dreams are a spiritual combat. You trust in magic, gods, and active protection. If your answers were mostly B, you are the technical scholar. Nothing is accidental for you. Every dream has a code, a symbol, and a method. If you choose C for most questions, you are the communicator with the afterlife. Your answers come from gods, ancestors, and invisible worlds. I got communicator with the afterlife. What about you? Tell us in the comments. If you got the scholar, you might enjoy our video on Mesopotamian hepatoscopy, when the gods spoke through the liver.